Good evening, friends. Welcome to the BISP Solutions. This is Raj Bhatt, and today, over the next hour, we are going to dive into one of the most fundamental aspects of a PBCS application, that is the account dimension. The account dimension is the cornerstone of your financial data model. Without a properly configured account dimension, your reports will be wrong, your calculations will fail, and your planning process will be a mess. Today, we will learn how to build this foundation correctly. So, I'm going to glimpse about that what is the agenda for today. So, we will emphasize on the five key points, that is introduction, core properties, practical example, heads-on exercise, and some excitement examples. So in the introduction part, we will cover and we will recap that what is a dimension and what is a member and why is the account dimension is so special. As far core properties as concerned, so we will break down the key properties for account members. In the practical examples, we will walk through a real world example of setting up a new account, as well as we will also do some practical sessions and like practical hands-on exercise, like you will get to create your own account and configure its properties. So first, let me quickly review the basics. In Oracle PBCS, a dimension is a category of a data. So I can show you on the paint that yesterday we have just covered that what is the difference or a dichotomy between the dimension and the cubes. We also got to know that what kind of dimensions are impactful for any organization. Even we have gone through many dimensions in the instances, like what kind of dimensions we can make, as well as what kind of pre-built dimensions are necessary to do the planning as well as the forecasting. So here I have just taken some common dimensions you can see here, as well as I have also taken the cube, because uh, dimensions are the real faces of the cube, and it shows that what are the categories and the way to look data so that the organization can do attractive planning as well as can forecast its financial future. So think of it as a label of your business data. Examples include account. Here you can see I have taken the dimension account. Also I have taken the dimension entity and scenario. Also the product. The account dimension describes that what your data represents. Is it revenue, an expense, or something else? A member is a specific item within a dimension. For example, total revenue or marketing expenses are members of the account dimensions. Members are organized in a hierarchy, like with a child members rolling up to the parents members. So the properties we are discussing today defines that how a members behaves within that hierarchy and the application. So what would be included in the accounts dimension, because today's our topic is account dimension and its members property. So we will discuss that what are the accounts dimension and its members property. Within that we will learn that what are the members properties that affect the planning of the specific accounts. So here I can also mention that under the accounts dimension, what member properties comes. So you can see I'm writing it here. Here we have first one, that is account type. Second thing that we have, it is data storage. These are the main dimension members property that I am telling you today. Another thing that we have is the time balance. These are that kind of members property without which no one can specify the accounts and specific account, as well as it will, if we will not uh, keep this members property on correct module, so absolutely it will create the mess on the planning. The another dimension that we have is various reporting, various reporting, and then we have some other important properties. Under this we have different kinds of property. Under this we have some other important properties like data type. I will request you to make the notes while watching this video, because if you will make the notes, so concepts would be more clear, it would be more unambiguous, so that you can hands-on this practical instance, as well as you can also solve some problems which is related to the account dimension. So I would recommend you to make the notes while watching the video, so that the concept would get into your mind. Another members that we have, it is alias, and then we have the consolidation. So these are the major account members property, like account type, data storage, time balance, variance reporting, other important properties like data type, alias, as well as the consolidation. So now we will learn that what these member properties are and what is the use of these accounts members property and in planning, forecasting, as well as the important aspect in loading the metadata as well as the data. So it is that kind of thing which impact the whole financial structure of the organization. Without rectifying this all stuffs, it will create the chaos while creating as well as while doing the planning of the specific accounts. Suppose if I want to do the planning for revenue, that comes under the income statement. So if I want to do the planning for revenue, so what kind of account type should be, and under the revenue what kind of revenue it is, and what should be the data storage, because under the data storage we also have the several members that we have to select. In the third one, that as we have talked about the time balance, so what would be the use of time balance on it? Variance reporting, as in yesterday class we have talked about the variance reporting. This was all about the difference between the actual and the budget, like what would be the actual and what would be the budget, as well as whatever the difference we will figure it out, it would be expense or it would be non-expense. So we can take it from dichotomies as well as the difference calculations. In the other important properties, we have the data type, alias, consolidation. Alias is so simple, like it is the alternative name of your account. It's a unique identification number, also you can say like this. So it is really a fascinating and insightful thing that we will learn today. So we will start with the accounts type. So today we will learn that how the accounts type influence all the members property as well as all the financial structure of that account. So here we will talk about the account tab. So account type is a crucial property. This single settings determines that almost everything else about the member. It dictates how data aggregates and how variances are calculated and what other properties are available. So under this, we have the five main types. These are expenses, revenue, asset, as well as the liability. And also we have the equity under this. So let me write it so it would be more clear to you, as well as you can also make the notes out of it. So under this we have almost four things. In the first we have the expenses. So expenses, as we know, that cost incurred when you aggregating an expense account, it subtracts its value from its parents. For example, if you have the travel expenses under the total expense, the value of travel expense is subtracted from the parents, that is total expenses. So this is a crucial thing in the account tab. Another thing that we have, it is revenue. So income, it is totally simple that the income generated, the revenue adds its value to the parents. Another thing that we have is asset. So these are the simply school concepts that we should know if we are the consultants and if we are going to this domain of Oracle PBCS consultant. So if we want to be well versed in this specific software, so we should know some school concept like what are the expenses, revenue, assets, as well as the liability, equity. So even if you are from the different domain or your specialization is different, so you can learn it from the books, but it should be practical and you should have the hands-on, the practical things, that how the small concept should be there and how we can elaborate it on the basis of its structure. So that is the different thing that we have, as well as you can also learn these school concepts from the videos, YouTube videos. Everything is available on the social media. So if even if you are not from the specific domain, so absolutely we have a lot of materials to understand, as well as to perceive the basic concepts of the commerce from the different sources. So we can use these sources nowadays. Everything is easy nowadays to fetch it. So this one is asset. Another thing that we have it is liability, and also the equity ones. We have the equity. So it was all about the account type. Suppose I will take you to the practical instance. So here we have the instance, and we will practice on the vision application, as I have yesterday discussed that this is the sample application, and this is the best tool to demonstrate as well as to practice on the instance, because it is the dummy software as well as the sample software on which we can hands-on our concepts, even whatever we know about the PBCS application. So we can do the practice on this instance. So let's go to the navigator flow. Here you can see the 3 lines. Then you can go to the dimensions. Under the create and manage option, we have the dimensions. So under this, you can see here the areas, all accounts are there. Here you can see we have discussed that alias here is the alternative names. So you can just simply drill it down. Here you can drill it down. Here we have two things, balance sheet as well as the net income. This balance sheet and net income, the structure is quite similar to the books as well as to the universal structure of the balance sheet. Only the thing is that it is slightly different to the industries, as well as to the different industry that they are making it. So but for the sample ones, if we want to do the practice, so I think this is the perfect balance sheet structure. Might or perhaps the balance sheet structure could be different from different companies, but if we want to practice in the simple manner, if we want to start the things from the sketch, so this is the perfect thing to start. So here you can drill it down the balance sheet. You can see here the total asset is there. Again we will drill down. So the current asset we can see here, it is a dynamic calc. Yesterday we have also discussed the data storage property, but today we will also discuss it, because the concept would be more flourish when we will do the practice of the same thing again and again. So absolutely the concept would go to our mind, because what is my main motive to teach you, it is the concept should be go to your mind, as well as you should be well versed in doing the forecasting as well as the planning of different companies, or wherever you are, so you can easily do the planning, you can easily do the forecasting through this application. This is really a very beneficial application if you are well versed on this application. So for that you have to do the practice, and it is not the daunting task, but it is easy if you will do the practice. So simply it's all about the preparation that you will do. So here you can see that cash and cash equivalents we have. Under the cash and cash equivalents, we have cash and marketable securities. So in the data storage property, we have kept it store, and if we will open its members property, so here you will see that it is dynamic calc, as well as the account type is asset. You can see here, as we know that cash and short-term equivalents are the asset, so that's why we have just kept it asset. So sample application has did all the things, but if you will done on the new application, you will practice on the new application. So you have to keep in mind, you have to keep in consideration that sometimes mistakes happens with these silly things, but you have to be aware that what should be the account type for the specific accounts member, so that the planning and the chaos would not be there. Okay, so we have discussed about the account type, that what kind of account type we have from the instance itself. Here we have the asset, this is the account type. If it would be the revenue in the income statement, so we can just make it, we can just capt it revenue. So it is all about the selection, that what kind of account it is, as well as in which specific accounts you are doing the planning. So it is so simple. So the next thing that we have in the accounts dimension, that is data storage property. We will also discuss this. So we have data storage properties. Under this we have four options. So what are these options? So these options are store, dynamic calc, never share, label only. So let me write it. Four options we have under the data storage. First option we have the store. We have also discussed the store in the yesterday's class. Today I will also discuss it to recap. Another option that we have that is dynamic calc. So we have dynamic calc. So the third one is never share property. And the last one is label only. So we have the four options under the data storage. So in a brief, I will explain you that what are these options under the members property of data storage. So a store, as we have discussed, that this is for level 0 members, the ones with no children. It's where data is directly loaded or entered. Dynamic calc, this is for the parent members. PBCS calculates the value on the fly whenever a user requests it. An example, it is used in a report or a form. So this is more efficient for most aggregations because the data isn't stored, which saves space and reduces calculation time. As far never share as concerned, so this is for level 0 members that are also marked as dynamic calc, and they are not intended to have data stored in them. For examples, members that hold the formula, so it is specific for that thing like gross profit, as well as total revenue, total asset, and we can also find out the things in total liabilities. for label only. So this is for the parent members that are not dynamic calc and do not have data stored on them. So they are purely for hierarchy structure. So as a rule of thumb, always set level 0 members to store and parent members to dynamic calc unless you have a specific reason not to. So this is crucial for the optimal performance. So the consultant as well as experts has to be aware about these all stuffs as well as these main options, so that everyone can put a correct data storage property for the specific or the difference or a particular account. So another thing that we have, the third members property, it is time balance. So the time balance property tells PBCS how to aggregate data over the period dimension. It is a vital for balance sheet accounts. So the four types are flow, balance, first and average. So let me write it. What are these four types? So first one is flow. Another one we have balance. Third one we have the first. First. And the last one that we have, it is average. Which is a very important part, that where we will use the average. I will tell you everything about the average here. So as we have discussed that time balance has the four types. For the flow, this is for income statement accounts like revenue and expenses. Data aggregates from month to quarter to year. Like we have the example here, I can mention it. Like under the flow, we can add the things, we can aggregate the things. Like the quarter one aggregates Jan plus Feb plus March, so it would be equal to quarter one. So then in the bracket I am writing that Jan plus Feb plus March, so it would be equal to quarter one. So this is how the flow options used in the time balance. So as for balance is concerned, this is for balance sheet accounts, asset, liability, equity. The value of the parent is the same as the last child period. For example, the quarter one cash balance is simply the March cash balance. So I can write it is suitable for the balance sheets members like asset, liability and equity. Asset, liability and equity. In the first, it is also simple. So the parent's value is the same as the first child period. So like I am sure that you are getting the concepts clearly. You might have cleared with the concept balance that this is for balance sheet accounts, as the value of the parent is the same, so as the last child period would be same. So for example, like we have taken the examples that quarter one cash balance is simply the March cash balance. So last month cash balance we are taking, and for the first the parent's value is the same as the first child period, and for the average the parent's value is the average of child members. So I can mention it here. That the parent's value is the average of the child periods. Is the average of the child period of the child periods. So parent's value is the average of the child period. So how it will use? So most of the time you will use flow for the income statements accounts, and balance, as we have already discussed, that balance would be appropriate for the balance sheet accounts. So this is a common point of confusion for new users, so get this one right. So I've already mentioned you that what would be the correct place for flow as well as the balance. So now I think you got to know that how we will use the flow and balance option as well as the first and average option. So the next dimension members property that we have, it is variance reporting. Let's see it. So the next dimension members property is variance reporting. Yesterday we have discussed about it, that it is totally the difference between actual and budget. Again we will watch it for the point of view of accounts dimension. Variance reporting. So under this we have expense and non-expense options. So this property affects how variance is calculated, and it's a simple setting but a powerful one. So the two options that we have discussed, that is expense and non-expense. So let me write it, that what are things. So we have two things here. That is expense and the non-expense. So expense we will talk about. So variance is calculated as budget minus actual. A positive variance is favorable, you spent less than you planned. And as far non-expense is concerned, so variance is calculated as actual minus budget. A positive variance is favorable, you earn more than you planned. So you got to know that how this works and what is the use of this option, that how we can calculate the profit as well as the loss through the comparisons. So we also call this the comparison reporting, because we are doing the comparison of actual and budget. So you will set this property based on the account type. If the account type is expense, so set variance reporting to expense. For all other account types, revenue, asset, liability, equity, set it to not expense, as I have already recommended you, as from my experience, that if you will set this property based on the account type, so if the account type is expense, so set variance reporting to the expense, and for all other account types you can just put it into the revenue, asset, liability as well as the equity, so set it to the non-expense. So these are the major dimensions member property that we have discussed so far. That is account type, data storage, time balance, as well as the variance reporting. So now we will throw some light on the other important properties like data type, alias, as well as the consolidation. So let's see it here. So for the data type here, again I'm drawing it. It would be more clear for the users. Through paints everything is clear, because when we use the paints and when we will put the diagrams, when we will put the concepts into the diagrams, so absolutely it totally goes to your mind, because we remembers all the pictographic image. That's why I am using this kind of tool to teach the concepts of instance, a PBCS instance. So data type, we have data type. So other important properties are data type, and under the data type it defines the type of data the member can hold. For example, currency, non-currency, percentage, as well as date and text. So let me write it. What are its things? So it defines the type of data member can hold. So simply I can write it here. So simply I can write that it defines the type of data that the member can hold it. So I'm writing here that it defines the of data type of data the member can hold. The member can hold. It will include various things like currency, non-currency, percentage, date, and text. So it will include currency, non-currency, percentage, date, and text. So we have the several things under the data type, as I have already mentioned on the paint. So you can write it there. So for the alias, as we know, a user-friendly name for the member. This is what users will see in the forms and the reports. So it is simply, if I would say in a nutshell, it is the alternative name of that specific account. So the last option that we have, it is consolidation. So consolidation defines the aggregation for a specific cube. For example, an account may have a different aggregation rule in the different cubes. So it is all about the consolidation that defines the aggregation, totally and simply the aggregation of the cubes. As we have discussed that two types of cubes we have, that is ASO as well as the BSO cube. BSO one is block storage option, and second one is aggregate storage option. So for if I talk about the BSO cube, so BSO cube is specifically used for input and calculations, as well as the aggregate, that is ASO cube, is used by the users for dashboards as well as the reporting. So we have the separate cubes in the instance in the application that divides the work of both the cubes. As we know that cubes are the containers, and it includes the dimensions. It includes as well as it entails the categories and the way of looking data, that how we will do the forecasting as well as planning for the company as concerned. So that's why the planning application has segregated the two cubes in the instance, that is BSO as well as ASO. So we have covered most of the things of data members property, that is accounts members property, one thing we have just left with, it is two pass calculation. Let me talk about it. So two pass calculation in Oracle PBCS is a property that forces a member formula to be calculated twice to produce the correct results. This is primarily used for ratios and other calculations where the numerator and the denominator are dependent on data that is aggregated or calculated in a single pass. So why, if you will ask me that why is two pass calculation necessary, what is the need of it? So I would suggest that by default SBIS, the engine behind the PBCS, we have also discussed that SBIS is the engine of application in the first introduction classes. So SBIS performs a single bottom-up calculation. This means it calculates the child members first and then rolls them up to their parents. So what would be the conclusion? So it is totally simple that for many members formulas this works fine. However, consider a profit percentage account defined as a profit divided by the sales ones. So in the first pass, the calculation for profit and sales will be correct at all levels. Like if I would say that quarter 1 profit equal to Jan month plus February month profit as well as plus March profit. However, the profit percentage for a parent member like quarter 1 will be calculated by aggregating the child members of profit percentage. For example, like Jan profit percentage plus Feb profit percentage and March profit percentage. So this would be incorrect. The correct profit percentage for the quarter should be quarter 1 divided by quarter 1 sales. So not the sum of the monthly percentage. So this mistake even done by the experts. So we have to keep in the consideration that we would be aware about these all mistakes as well as these basic concepts, that how we can put the correct numbers as well as the calculations in the two pass ones. If you will enable the two pass calculation, so absolutely you should be aware that in which account specific you are doing the two pass calculation. So mostly we have covered a lot of things here. So if I will go to the instance, so under the members properties you can see that we have name, description, we have covered alias table, we have also covered alias, that here the cash and cash short-term equivalents you can see here. Account time, here we have selected the asset ones. Under the variance reporting we have clicked the option non-expense. In the time balance we have the balance, as well as in the exchange rate it is not disabled, as well as disabled, even I would say that this is disabled in the instance. Source cube is plan 1. So we have two cubes that I have discussed, that BSO and ASO cube. So plan 1 is the BSO cube in the instance, and ASO, here you can see that this ASO is there by the name. This is specifically for the reporting and dashboards making. So generally we push the data from BSO to ASO cube through the smart push option. We will also cover the smart push in the later classes, in the future classes. We will discuss, we will we'll learn the concepts with good manner, with attractive practical examples. So data type, here we have selected the currency. You can see non-currency, unspecified, non-currency, percentage. Smart list option is also there. So you might have in doubt that what is a smart list in the application. It is so easy. I will not make it complicated. A smart list is simply the drop down list in the application. Whatever the drop down list we use in the Excel interface, it is totally extended version of that list. So in instance it is a smart list is the drop down version. So here we have discussed that what are the member properties of accounts dimension and how it is useful for doing the planning as well as the forecasting. I just forget to show you one thing that is very important for the data storage specific one thing. So here you can see that under the data storage we have store, dynamic calc, never share and label only members. So if I would say that how you will find it during making the form or during loading the data in the through the smart view, how you will find that this is store, this is dynamic calc, this is never share, this is label only. So the best way to find out the things, the store member, it is the last member of the parent. Even I would say if a store option is enabled, so absolutely the input permission would be given to the user so that they can input the data under the dirty cells. So I'm going to show you that how it would work. Here you can see, let me take the screenshot of it, then I will show you in the paint. So here you can see that these are the dirty cells. So these cells are blank cells where you can input the data, and you can understand if this cells are enabled, so absolutely it is the store ones. So I will mention it here. It is totally possible that user has enabled the store option under this. User has clicked on the option store. If this blank cells would be there, so it means you can put your numbers, you can put the data of your finance, whatever the finance previous finance data you have, historical past as well as the actual past. So that defines that how we can check these all things. So for if I talk about the dynamic calc, so it is totally available and generally applicable on the formula. Like suppose I want to calculate total revenue, just see it. I want to calculate the total revenue. So here what I will do, I will simply edit the sales of the department, the sales of the organization, whatever I have. Might be possible that I have the sales from hardware, software, IT solutions, as well as the consulting firms. So suppose here I have kept it that hardware would be 5,000 and software should be again 5,000. For IT solution we take 1,000. And for consulting we have taken again 5,000. So these are the number that I have kept under the various revenue sources. Like we have the hardware, software, IT solutions, as well as the consulting firms. So if I want to total this, so absolutely I will enable the option dynamic calc so that I can see the result under the total revenue in the data form. I cannot see this thing under the dimensions member under create and manage, but I could see all these things in data form as well as the smart view option. So suppose its total is 16,000. So 16,000 should be covered and it should be showed in front of the total revenue. Here you can write that it should be equal to 16,000. So absolutely it would be covered and it would be it would calculate the results of all the department sources, whatever it may be. Different companies have the different sales sources, so it would be aligned, and it would be aligned with the total revenue. Suppose if I want to open the total revenue, just like I have just opened the total revenue in the data form, even I want to calculate the gross profit thing, so absolutely there I will use the member formula. But for that I have to focus as well as I have to keep the data storage property as in dynamic calc, because it would be the aggregation of these all stuffs. So for that specific thing I have to do these all formalities. So it was all about the account dimension. I hope you might have enjoyed this session, and thank you for joining this session. Whatever the doubt would be there, without any hesitation you can ask me on the comments.